I am Guillermo Citron, a 2LE student, and on this episode of Catching Up with UDC Law Alumni, we're talking with Darren Johnson, class of 2003. He is the first Afro-Latino appointee to the Prince George's County Circuit Court in Maryland. Darren, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking time out to talk to us.
Thank you, Guillermo, for inviting me. I'm happy to present in front of my former law school.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, to get to know you a little bit better.
I am originally from the area. I grew up in Langley Park, then we moved to Largo, Maryland. So I went to Langley Park Elementary, Buck Lodge Middle School, then Kettering Middle School, and eventually graduated from Largo High School. I went to Howard University undergrad and graduated, and then I went to the illustrious David A. Clark School of Law at UDC's campus. And me and my wife, we live in Bowie. We have a dog named Lucy. My parents are still with me. My father is native born to the area. My mother's from Panama. My wife's parents are from Nicaragua, Bluefields to be exact. And I think when we met, that sort of cultural identity is what helped us connect. Because, you grow up in this country and, I identify with my African-American heritage, of course, but there is the Latino heritage, which I think are similar, but it's hard to explain someone who has not been a part of the culture. And so when I met my wife's family, I was like, oh, this is home, right? So we've been married going on 19 years. I practiced in Baltimore City for a while, doing juvenile and different things of that nature. So this is about 7 years of civil and criminal practice. And then another 7 years with the Department of Agriculture, working for the National Appeals Division. So handling all the appeals for any program coming out of agriculture, whether it had to do with boiler houses, which are chicken coops, to requirements for the Army Corps of Engineers. Then after that, I applied for the magistrate position here in Prince George's County, and I was appointed by the circuit court judges to serve as a magistrate, a family magistrate, doing civil domestic matters and some juvenile truancy, things like that. And then in January 6th, I had a call from the governor that I was appointed as a judge associate judge for the circuit court of Prince George's County. Some other things you might not know, I play in a Nicaraguan softball league, Dennis Martinez League. Usually we start in April. Sometimes it goes till October. But that's a league I play in. And that's a league that I would say forced me because my conversational Spanish, I always tell people, it's not the best. So don't try me on it, but I can understand. And I think when you have to compete, okay, I need to know what's going on. I need to know what's going on. And at home, my grandmother, she would speak to me in Spanish, and my mother does still to this day. And when me and my wife travel, we've visited her family, I want to say, several times over the years since they moved back to Nicaragua. And in order to get where you got to go, you got to know what's going on. But that's a little bit about me. And, and I think that one thing that helped me in my magistrate position, and now I believe will assist me as a judge, is knowing the community and knowing different cultures and knowing people. So when, people come before you in certain situations, that culture, that identity. And, as Americans, we're always indoctrinated into, for lack of a better word, white culture. So we have an understanding of what goes on and things of that nature and their history. But when it comes to African-American culture or Latino culture, sometimes those sitting on the other side don't have an understanding or, an appreciation for the culture. And that's not to say anything bad, but sometimes you have to know the people you are judging, especially when you're making certain decisions that are going to affect their lives.
First off, congratulations on the appointment.
No,
Very
thank you.
big step. Going back to your education, what made you choose UDC Law?
When I came for a visit, I'd say Vivian Canty, she was director of admissions at the time, and she sold me on the vision of UDC and the goal of public service. And I think that was a big thing for me, that you were going to be in the community. And that's another thing about the clinic program, which from my time, it rose, and I think eventually, it got top 20 in the country, because it was a hands-on, like, we are part of the community, and we're shown we are part of the community by being involved with the citizens, So I think Vivian Canty selling me on the mission of the school, and also Dean Broderick, she was very instrumental. So that's pretty much what made me want to be a part of sort of a smaller culture. You know everybody, we're all a family, and it's competition, but not competition. I remember a friend of mine, you can edit this out if you want, but they went to Georgetown Law, and he said, sometimes you're going to get a book that everybody's using, and people have torn the pages out, right? And it's almost like a purposeful thing. But here, it was never that at UDC. We were competing, but we were a family.
Definitely still same culture, same family view. What's one memory that you remember from law school that stays with you to this day?
The one memory I would say it's sort of a collection. It's the professors. So, Judge Lee, Judge Pryor, Professor McLean, Professor Mack, Professor Thomas, these individuals shaped my legal career and shaped how I viewed the law. So I remember them particularly, and I remember my classmates. So when I think back, it's the collective we that I think about, that I always remember. And some people don't have fond memories of where they attend, but I know everyone that I've met and that I know that has attended UDC has always left with fond memories of the university, people they come into contact with, and that's something that I take moving forward.
So as you look back on your career, and a very successful career, how do you feel attending UDC Law uniquely prepared you for your path that you've taken thus far?
One, I would say that the clinic program in particular, because you get out of law school and some people don't even know how to bill correctly. You said, okay, they don't even know anything about billing. But the clinic program, it teaches you to interact with people at an early stage of your law career. I was part of the juvenile clinic, and as well as the legislative clinic, but the juvenile clinic in particular, you learn how to interact with clients, how to deal with clients, get clients a place on time, how to sort of coach your clients, and okay, this is what we need to do next. It gives you those real life lessons. In medical school, you got to go practice somewhere, or not practice, but you get your internship before they send you out into the world to operate on people. Sometimes in law, it's just like, hey, go out there and handle it. But I think at UDC, that hands-on interaction helped a lot. And even with DC Council working in the legislative clinic, you meet council members, you meet legislators, you're able to navigate that realm, which helps you also, when you're doing things of that nature. So I think the clinical program was big for me.
As someone looking forward to a career in law, what advice would you give to a law student who wants to focus on more than one area of law that may not necessarily complement each other?
I would always say experience as much as you can, because I did family law, I did criminal law, juvenile, so criminal, but then I did administrative law for 7 years, and I love that. And that was a lot of writing and reviewing hearings, because we were sort of an appellate board, but it gives you an understanding of different things, how to digest different areas of the law, because some things don't come as black and white as what you need to do. Some things there's not as much case law on it. A lot of it may be, in the regulations. So I would encourage, to study as many different things as you can. Because when you get out there, inevitably you're going to find something you want, and you're going to follow that. But to sort of get a taste of everything, I would never discourage anyone from doing that.
So we just finished celebrating 50 years of UDC Law in 2022, and we're looking towards the next 50 years. So we're still going to play 5 and 50. I'll ask you 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. Our goal is to get through all 5 questions in less than 50 seconds.
Okay.
So if we can put 50 seconds on the clock. All right. Cats, dogs, other, or none?
Dogs.
Favorite genre movie?
Suspense.
If you could trade places with anyone, living or dead, for a day, who would it be?
President Obama.
Invisibility or super speed?
Invisibility.
And are you a good singer?
No, I am not. And my wife will tell you that.
Thank you for your honesty. Is there anything else you would like to share with everyone before we wrap up?
The one thing, and I'm going back to the many interviews I had to do for this process, and I was always asked, what skill do you think a judge or someone has to have that is most important? Well, we're all going to know the law, and if you don't know it, you'll be able to find it. But I believe that emotional intelligence is something that more people need. And I say that because, even in my position, when I'm delivering a summation on my findings, I have to take into account, okay, I'm speaking to both parties, and you have to take into account how they're feeling at that point in time. And this goes into anything you're doing, when you're practicing, how are you communicating with everyone in the courtroom? And I think emotional intelligence is something that more people should be in tune with, because it'll take you a long way.
Thank you for joining us today, Judge Johnson. It's been a pleasure. I know you are a very busy man, so I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you offering me the opportunity, and good luck in your pursuits.